You know the word get, you know away, you know with. So, what does he got away with it mean? Nothing in those three words tells you. This is the most demoralizing moment in language learning. Not hearing a word you do not know, understanding every single word, and having the sentence go straight past you. Welcome back to How Languages Work. Today, why knowing the words is not the same as knowing the language. A measurement that shows how much of speech is pre-built and what the research says you can actually do about it. Part 1. Language is not built one word at a time. The linguist John Sinclair argued that we run on two different systems and switch between them. One builds sentences word by word, choosing freely, the open choice principle. The other reaches for whole ready-made blocks, the idiom principle. And his claim was that the ready-made one is the default. We only drop into building word by word when we have to. So two researchers, Britt Ehrman and Beatrice Warren, tried to measure it. They took 19 extracts of real English, spoken and written, and hand-counted every pre-built chunk they could find. Their answer? 58.6% of the spoken samples and 52.3% of the written. On their counting, more than half of English is reached for whole rather than assembled. Now hold that number loosely, because I am going to come back to how contested it is. But the direction matters more than the decimal. You were taught the words. Fluent speakers are leaning hard on ready-made phrases, and almost nobody teaches you those directly. And these are not all colorful idioms. Most are painfully ordinary. As a matter of fact, I do not know if, in the middle of boring little blocks, you would never look up. And they are everywhere. Part 2. The phrasal verb problem. Take one verb, get over it, get by, get on, get out of it, get away with it, get through it. Same verb, 6 unrelated meanings, and the second word is doing all the work. And this is why looking up the parts does not save you. You can know get, you can know over. Predicting recover from a broken heart out of those two is not something a dictionary can do for you. It gets worse. In that same study, Gardner and Davies found those 100 most frequent phrasal verbs carry 559 different dictionary meanings between them, roughly 5.6 each. But here is the good news, and it is genuinely good. Gardner and Davies went through the 100 million word British national corpus and found that just 100 phrasal verbs account for 51.4% of every phrasal verb in it. So the job is not to learn all the phrasal verbs. Nobody has done that. The job is to learn about 100 of them properly, and to learn them one meaning at a time, not one form at a time. Part 3, when every word is literal and the meaning still is not, because sometimes there is no idiom at all, and you still miss it. Somebody at a dinner table says, "Can you pass the salt?" Every word is literal. Grammatically, it is a question about whether your arm works. John Searle used exactly this example, building on Paul Grice's idea that we assume the person talking to us is cooperating, being relevant, saying about as much as they need to. But Searle's own observation is the sharper one. You do not consciously work anything out. You simply hear it as a request. And that gap is everywhere. "It is getting late" can mean "please go home," or "we should leave," or "I am bored," or nothing at all. Same 4 words. This is the layer dictionaries cannot reach. And it is the layer that makes you feel like an outsider even when your grammar is good. Because you did not misunderstand the words. You missed what the words were being used to do. Part 4. So how solid are those numbers? Let me be straight about that headline figure. 58.6% comes from 19 hand-coded extracts about 10,000 words in total of British English from the 60s and 70s. And Ehrman and Warren say it themselves. Identifying all and only the prefabs is, in their words, in practice impossible. And other researchers, counting differently, get very different answers, from about 15% at the low end to over 80% at the high end. The standard review of this literature settles on somewhere between a third and a half. So here's what is safe to say. A large share of natural speech is formulaic, and speech is consistently more formulaic than writing. The phrasal verb frequencies are straight corpus arithmetic, and they are solid. The 5.6 is a dictionary count, and it is the softest number in this video. Part 5, what to actually do. First, and this is the big one, stop collecting words. Collect chunks. When you meet a new word, do not write down the word. Write down the whole phrase it arrived in. Second, for phrasal verbs, work from a frequency list and take them one sense at a time. Not get with all its meanings at once. Just get over, meaning recover. One sense, one example, 1 week. And third, the layer everybody assumes you can only absorb by living somewhere. That assumption turns out to be wrong, and the research on it is genuinely encouraging. In one study, learners were given about 6 hours of explicit teaching in reading implied meaning. Their scores went from 55% to 87%, almost exactly the native speaker baseline. Learners who had simply lived in the country for anywhere between 17 months and 7 years scored in the mid-70s. So the honest version is not that this layer cannot be taught. It is that it almost never gets taught. 6 hours of somebody explaining it beats several years of just being there. And that more or less is what a teacher is for. My Italki link is in the description if that is useful to you. So the next time you understand every word and still miss the sentence, do not read it as evidence that your English or your Spanish is bad. Read it as a signal that you have finished the word layer and arrived at the next one. And that the next one has a syllabus too. Your homework. This week, write down 5 whole phrases instead of 5 words, exactly as you heard them. Then tell me in the comments which one you had been carrying around as a single word, and if this explains something you had been quietly worrying about, subscribe. Because next time, why you can be perfectly polite in your own language and come across as rude in another one. Sources are below. See you in the next one. Nos vemos.